Hello you. What you see in front of me is a series of knives that I've collected over the years for one sole purpose, and that is to find the perfect Amazon box cutter. Some of the knives I really enjoy. This one here by Wesen is matte black edition, and I absolutely love this. And the great thing about not having a particularly sharp point there is that you can maul through a box without having to worry about going too deep and cutting apart whatever is inside there. I do like this one a lot. Not the sharpest tool in the box, pardon the pun, still a very good one. Now this is ridiculous, and you can chop down trees with this. If you were in a survival situation, this would be the one thing you would want to take with you, because A, you could tie it to a stick and chop down a tree. You could use it for all the things you use a knife for, like, you know, cutting fine things and stuff like that. And the rest of the time, it just looks utterly offensive and unhinged when you open a box with this. This knife might be my favorite, and I'm slightly biased because it has a serrated edge there and a sharp point here. So when you're trying to cut through sellotape and stuff like that, it comes in really handy. Wrapping paper just chops it up like there's no tomorrow. Now this one, the thing I like about this sort of Stanley blade is you don't have to open it fully. You don't have to open it like several blades forward. You could just open one like that. Very handy tool. This is my favorite little pocket knife, and this is made by a company called Gerber. I mean, everyone's heard of Gerber, right? It's got all the little tools you could need on here. What a knife. I think we go with this. This is made by Maplin. This was the cheapest one I could find. I bought this for about 10 quid. And on the one hand, you've got a Stanley knife there, so you can just change this blade whenever you like. And then on this side, you've got a much sharper blade. And as you can see from all the sellotape here, I've done a few hundred boxes with this. I bought this in lockdown, so I've had this for about 4 years, and it has been faithfully useful all that time. Let's see how these fare against boxes. So this one here, standard Amazon box, and you're buying a book or something like that. I've retaped it here, but what we want to see is how well does this little one by Gerber perform your everyday task. Let's close that up and get the blade out. Right. So if I'm pressing that hard, it's not ideal. Now when it's in the hard part, let's see. In fairness, this has lost a lot of its sharpness over the years. And if you were just cutting a bit of tape, then it would get the job done. But it's, I mean, in fact, it is really blunt now and not ideal, but it will get the job done in a pinch. Let's put that to one side. I'm not particularly happy with that one. And let's have a look at this. Remember what I said? This one doesn't actually have a very sharp point, so I don't expect it to cut through like that. But with a bit of force, once it's in, this thing, ooh, I mean, that's brutal the way that carves through that box. Absolutely savage. That Wesen has to go in the top 5 already. I'm putting that down there for a second. And let's open this around the other side and have a look at some of the bigger ones. So these two knives, this is one of my favorites. This is ridiculously hard. This end here you could use to smash into something, let's say crack a coconut open if you're on a desert island. And then the front end of this is sharp as you like. And it's got a sharp point as well. So you saw how easily that went in. Oh, I mean, that's Amazon box galore, that really is. And yeah, I mean, that's literally just gutted that box. This one is the older one, and it's much lighter. I don't have a set of scales here, but I think this one's probably about 100 grams lighter, which probably is easier for carrying if you're traveling through the jungles of Amazon, as in Amazon's warehouse. And it is equally sharp, because I keep these very sharp. I've said this and I'll say it again and again. There is nothing more dangerous than a blunt knife. The blunter the knife, the more force you exert, the more likely you are to make a mistake and lose a finger. So these two are special because you could use them in just about every scenario. Right, let's up our game a little bit here. This is another Gerber tool, and Gerber do make some of the best knives out there. This is a multi-tool, so you're going to have all the bases covered. That knife there, I do love because it is very sharp. We're going to go up a notch and go to a slightly bigger box now. I have no idea what came in this. First things first, let's see how easily it cuts through that. Easily. Now, into the cardboard itself. Bear in mind, you've got a lot more leverage with this when you're holding it like this than, let's say, the smaller Gerber multi-tool that I had a second ago. This and the serrated edge. Let's just try and use the sharp edge instead of the serrated point here. And I mean, it's equally sharp. This is an absolute godsend of a tool. If you were ever stuck in a situation where you needed every tool in the box, this has got a screwdriver there. It's got pliers, as you can see. It's got a nail file, which I guess you could file down some wood and use that to start a fire. Who knows? I'm not a survival expert. And then a tiny pair of scissors. I mean, how cute are they? You could probably chop your nails with this. Or if you snap the blade one day, you're able to use this to cut boxes open. I'm gonna have to put this in the top 5 as well. So where are we at? We're at Wesen and this one, top 5. I'm gonna put them over that side for now. And the heavier one of these two I prefer. That's okay, but I much prefer the heavier one. I used to have the serrated edge version of this, and I don't anymore. I don't know what I did with it. That was my favorite of these Gerber Bear Grylls knives. Got to give this an honorable mention, because for box opening, I mean, you're not going to get much better. You just pierce through like that. Benefit of having something as short as that on the end of your knife is you have these little edges here that will stop you from going deeper than you need to into whatever you're cutting. So there, it's resting there. It's not going to go any further than that. And you can cut that box like I won't say it. The problem is this does have a short shelf life. Once you've gone through all of these blades, that's it. You throw it away. You can't use it again. And if you were out in any kind of survival situation, this would also be useless, because those things would just snap the minute you tried to cut through a tree. But because of value for money alone, I'm going to give this an honorable mention over there. Now we move to this cheap thing I bought. Again, this was way back when, about 5 years ago, when I first subscribed to Accessorize Me. He had this on his channel, and I was like, you know what, I've got to give this a try. Now, it's still quite sharp. I've kept this sharp. Cuts through the tape perfectly well. On the tape front, I'm going to give this say a 7 out of 10. Now let's go into the box. Now, a lot more resistance than the other ones. If you go all the way down to the actual hilt or the shoulder of the blade, then yeah, it feels sharper, and I do sharpen this quite a lot. I love the fact that it does that. That always feels so cool, such a little gimmicky thing to be able to do. I think they make a blackout version of this, so I would have given the blackout version an 8 out of 10, but this, because it's just shiny, chromy sort of steel, I'm gonna give this a 6, and the blade, even though I've sharpened it, isn't fantastic. What do we go for next? Well, standard Stanley knife. I mean, this problem with Stanley knives is these blunt really quickly. It's a really thin blade and you can't sharpen it. So it is a one-hit wonder, throw the blade away, put a new one in. But it cuts through that box, even all the way there, very easily. But it's not satisfying. I mean, let's be honest. Would you rather, when you're about to unbox something from Amazon, use this tiny little thing or this? I know what I'd rather have in my pants. I did say this one was good value for money from Maplin. As I said, it has done a few hundred boxes for me, but it's fiddly, and that blade, the way it locks back, doesn't inspire me with a great deal of confidence. But is it still sharp? You bet. It really is. It's ridiculously sharp. My problem with this is it feels really cheap in the hand, and it's hard to put that across on video. I mean, just holding it, it's got a little clip there. You can put it on your belt, for example. Would you ever want to be carrying this with you? No, you'd get arrested immediately. Like, what the hell are you doing walking around with something like this? Why on earth would you want a Stanley knife with you? Around the warehouse here or around the office, it's a great little tool, and it's cheap as well. I think this was like 8 quid. So yes, for value for money, absolutely, but just for feel, I think I'd rather spend the difference and buy something. I'll give this a 6 out of 10 though. I mean, you know, it's good enough for what it does. This one is by a company called Wayraging or Wavraging. Again, Accessorize Me. This is a multi-tool with just about everything on here. You've got your bottle opener, which everyone needs at any party. You've got another bottle opener. What is this bit here? This is 2 bottle openers. Why do you need 2 bottle openers? That's ridiculous. And then, this is quite handy. especially if you do filming. You got a little Allen key at the top of that there, so you can jam that into stuff, jam it in hard, and unpack whatever you're about to unpack. And then on this side here, you've got the blade, which is blackout, which is always good. Well, it was black until I started cutting things that were red. And then in here, you've got, and I love this, a pair of pliers. So for everyday use, around an office or around your house where you need everything in one device, this is really cool. Also quite good if you're going out filming. Would you get away with a blade that long? I don't know, there's plenty of countries where you would. I think in the UK you'd probably get arrested for this, so I wouldn't take this out with you. But it's got a really nice textured grip here, which holds the thing from sliding out of your hands. And I love the blackout look to it. Just for the looks alone, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. I'm going to have to put this into consideration for my top 5 when I'm done with it. Now, let's move on to a slightly different box, because we've done that one to death now, and start with this. This is the Serrated Edge Bear Grylls Gerber knife, and I absolutely love this because when I do go to the woods, I'll take this with me often because I can sometimes make a little torch with this. I can start a fire by shaving off lots of little bits of wood. That serrated edge there gives you an opportunity to do that, and I love that. How is it with that? Easy. Put it in here. Not as sharp as it once was, but the serrated edge, still as savage as before, but it has lost a lot of its shine. Sharpening a serrated edge isn't the easiest thing in the world because you're only meant to sharpen the underside here, not the serrated side. And it's very easy when you're sharpening a knife like that to hit the teeth of the serrated edge. Anyone out there who knows better than me when it comes to sharpening a serrated knife, please let me know in the comments, and keep it clean, just as all my videos are very clean. I don't talk about jamming anything anywhere. So that I love. I just love the ergonomics. I love the grip of it. Absolutely love this knife. And yes, I will take a point away for that serrated edge being hard to sharpen, but that's more of a user error. And that bit there wasn't as sharp as it once was, but perhaps I should sharpen that. That might be on me. I need to give this an 8 out of 10 just because it is so pocketable and it is so savage. And like the other ones, it's got the little jutting out bit there that you could use to, let's say, I don't know, crack a coconut or whatever you would do with it. I'll put that in the liked column. This is one of my favorite things in the world. And yes, it's overkill. Well, in some people's eyes when it comes to opening boxes. But when someone turns up at your office and you whip this out, they suddenly pay attention to everything you do and everything you say. So if you want someone's attention, I can't think of many things better than this. I love the fact that it's got a grip up here, so you're not waving this thing around and it's loose in the hand. Up here, you've got a lot of control, so you can use it, as I said, to shave bits off a tree that you're trying to get some pine sap from or something. Now, the way they've built this is they've made this little hook here, so obviously you can hang that from your belt in its case. Don't ever carry that without the case. But you could also then tie this to a stick that you could then hack away at a tree at that you need to chop down to set fire to keep you warm at night. This is a beast. For nothing else than the fact that it looks so spectacular, it gets a 9 out of 10. It is useless at cutting Amazon boxes. It is useless for just about anything other than, well, I wouldn't say useless, but as a survival item, this is outrageously good. I would love to give this a 9 out of 10, but for the purposes of this video where I'm rating Amazon cutting boxes, I'm afraid this has to go to the side over there, which is painful to have to do. I'm going to leave this one till the last because we have one more Amazon box that we need to cut through, and we have one more knife that we need to open up. Excuse me while I just whip this out. Now that is how you open an Amazon box. How do we open this? That's the question. Now the real test will be, what knife do I use to take this knife out of its case? And I can't think of anything better for this particular use case than to use the cheap £8 Stanley knife, because I don't want to damage the knife and I just want us to take the seal off. And the best way to do that is with this. I need to be genuinely very careful with this because hacking away with a machete is a dangerous activity at the best of times. And then when you put it in the hands of an idiot like me, well then you're kind of asking for trouble. This thing is a beast. So let's use that to open the big daddy of the boxes here. Amazon, I'm coming for you with this. Amazon boxes, let me be clear before someone sues me. Okay, so we have decided that if you've got a big Amazon box, there is no better way to cut it. I mean, this is a joke. It's so sharp, it's ridiculous. I mean, that thing, if you're not careful with this, you could, that is razor sharp. And you see why people use these in the Amazon because, you'd want that on your hand the whole time, wouldn't you, chopping through a jungle? And Amazon, no matter what parcel you send me from now on, I'm going to use this to open it because this is an absolute joke. Now, I said the best till last, in my opinion, and before I give you my ratings, I think for Amazon box cutting, this is a 9.8 out of 10, end of story. Like, you're not coming close to that. But this was a gift, and it truly is a gift. This was made by a Navajo tribe, Native Americans that have art still bestowed and handed down by the elders to create masterpieces. And it was given to me by a friend who spent some time with them. And he kindly said, this is the kind of thing that I would get more joy from than him because I absolutely love knives and I would adore this and cherish it. And I need to get this taken to a professional to get it clean, to get rid of some of the rust that's developed on here. This thing is so sharp, it's not even funny. I cut myself open with this once and I bled for days. It wouldn't heal up on my finger. And to give you an idea of how sharp it is, you don't need to cut through a box. Anyone can cut through a box. It's when you can cut through paper, like that, that's when you realize something's sharp. This thing is an absolute beast. And on the Amazon scale, this would be 10 out of 10 for cutting open Amazon boxes. But I would never, ever commit that kind of sacrilege and cut an Amazon box open with this. This is my prized possession, this knife. So when it comes to Amazon boxes, my ratings are really simple. This is a 10, this is a 9.5, this is a 9.52. You get a 8.5 here. No, I'll go 9 here. The only problem with this is you can't take it anywhere with you because I think it's against the law in the United Kingdom. This, without a shadow of a doubt, has to be a 9 as well. I hope this has been informative and helpful and you are now wiser, smarter, and you walk away from this and think to yourself, I just watched that video and I will never get back those 10 minutes of my life.